already started.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, welcome to the Facial Recognition Comedy Podcast. I'm Fizza Dasani.
I'm Paula Viganalan.
And
our guest is Esther Ku.
Yeah, Zara's not here yet. She's stuck in traffic, so there's sort of that little void. But Esther's more than enough to...
Hello. Hi.
How are you doing?
This is like an Indian sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, okay, do you really define sandwich by bread? Because we'd
That's
be the
an
bread.
amazing question.
So it's a Ku sandwich
It is. It
On
really technically is.
on Indian bread.
I don't know.
Naan.
Are we racist? Can we say that?
Yeah, we can say
We're
it.
allowed
but
to be racist. White people can't anymore.
Oh, we're gonna
But,
talk about this
now,
later.
Now is our time to be racist. Because
Yeah.
who's going to get offended? Nobody.
So, for those who don't know, Esther Ku is a comic of Asian descent, but specifically,
I'm a comic with one of those vaginas.
she's a vagina.
A vagine.
She has a vagine.
Welcome to the Ku vagine.
That's our next podcast. Welcome to the Ku Vagine.
Yes.
Yeah, just that's what we were talking about. Just to clear, I don't know because if they don't,
They can't see you yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Is that edible kicking in?
I didn't have one.
No, I didn't either.
we were talking about edibles before this and their danger. So Esther, you shot to, I don't want to say it's like success or whatever, but your like rise started with like Last Comic Standing, right?
I suppose, yeah. That was my first TV thing ever.
What year
Yeah.
was that?
2008.
Wow. When did you decide you wanted to be a stand-up comedian?
Probably in 8th grade.
Really?
Yeah.
Because Fizza like wanted to do it back then too.
Around the same
Did you?
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, like my librarian came up to me when I was in 8th grade and was like, "You always make everybody laugh. Why don't you host a talent show?" And I was like, "Okay."
Did you headline?
I mean, I hosted it.
Oh, you
I brought
hosted.
up the acts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it go
I didn't
well?
know what I was doing. It's like I just always made my friends laugh all the time. I
Yeah.
did like my Aladdin impression and
What's your Aladdin impression?
King Jafar impression. I would just like print out like the flag from Aladdin and like wave it around and just repeat everything they said in the movie.
Yeah.
You know, I forget what I used to say,
So the
but
key to impressions is saying what they said. Okay, cool.
take note, comics.
Did you hear that, Jay Farrow? Did you hear that? Is that your method?
And then so I didn't know how to translate like funny with your friends to on stage. I just assumed that if I'm funny with my friends that I'm going to be funny on stage. So I didn't really prepare that much.
Yeah.
And then I was bombing and I was like really confused. Like, what's going on? Why am I bombing?
So was this in 8th grade?
yeah, in 8th grade.
You're bombing?
yeah.
That's hilarious.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Look, that's so interesting because a lot of people do think that before you sort of get into stand-up or have that stand-up sensibility and think, oh, I just go up there and talk.
I can't count the number of men on dating apps that have been like, I think I'm funny. I'm like, by this conversation, you're not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't translate always. You
Yeah.
have to, it's a different skill set that you have to like hone over time.
Totally.
Are you guys on dating sites?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not on either. I'm not on any dating sites at all.
I'm already on Twitter and Instagram, and people.
plenty.
I already get creepy guys like saying like, "I want to lick your butthole." I don't really need to like put myself on dating sites. No thanks.
Yeah,
Someone recently DM'd me my Instagram story, and because I wrote like still single because I was doing something gross,
Yeah.
and he was like, "You're not gonna be single for long with me knowing," and I was like, "Are you gonna hurt me? Like what kind of threat is that?" I love
does
it when a
that
pickup
mean?
line is also a threat.
I know people on Instagram. They think I feel like they write what they're thinking, whereas like they would never say that in person
Yeah,
to you.
never. It's like
It's almost like a look inside people's minds.
yeah.
For some reason on Instagram, it's like nobody's wives read what their husbands like write on Instagram.
I don't know about all that.
I mean, yeah, the going through their
Yeah.
phones.
I watch Love and Hip Hop. You know, people go into
Is
people's
that
DMs.
real?
I don't know. It's probably scripted.
Probably.
It's good.
No,
But it's
that
fun.
shit is real.
I bet that
Going
happens-
into DMs, yeah.
I bet that happens somewhere.
Ooh,
Zara's
Zara's here.
Zara.
Your mic's all set up.
Yeah. So okay. So I had because you're Asian like us, and did your family when you started doing? Did you start doing stand up like after hosting that show?
No. Then I wrote for the school paper in high school.
Okay.
And everybody in my school was like, oh my God, you're so funny. And that
Yay.
really built up my confidence.
Dope.
Because I just started out as a writer and everybody would be like, I read your columns first because they're funny. So I just got encouragement from like my choir teacher was like, you should be a comedian. And I was like, okay, I'll be a comedian.
Yeah. So were you voted a superlative in high school? Like funniest or
No, I wasn't. There was
Most outgoing?
one for wittiest.
Yeah.
And Bianca won, and I was so
Fuck
mad.
Wait,
Hold
you didn't have
on.
runners.
I was
runner-ups?
so mad.
Bianca chick.
We don't know. This is just
Who's this Bianca chick?
Bianca Rojas, she was really popular. She was like on volleyball.
That's her maiden name.
And she was like on homecoming court. So she just won because she's like
she
witty,
popular. She was funny, but like I was annoying. So I won Chatterbox.
Okay.
And then my little brother won Wittiest his year, the next year.
Oh.
And that was like, now I have to be a comedian to prove I'm the wittiest.
That's some hardcore sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
Did your so when you started stand up, were your parents like cool with it or?
Well, actually, my dad would always say, like, she's a comedian because I would do inappropriate things all the time, like brush my teeth in the living room
Oh, that's inappropriate.
and just laugh really loudly and just be very unladylike. So he was always like, oh, look at your daughter. She's such a kichibe comedian.
What does
And
that mean?
It's like street girl.
You're street girl.
Yeah.
Was that a compliment?
Lady of the streets?
No, it's not a compliment.
Okay,
It's
doesn't
like
sound like
it's like, oh, look at this headache on our hands.
Ooh.
How are we ever gonna marry her off? And if we don't marry her off, then like she's like our liability, you know? So that's how they looked at me.
I read somewhere that your parents are Korean Christian missionaries.
Yeah. Yeah, they moved to Chicago with like a bunch of other missionaries to pioneer like universities and save college students from eternal damnation.
Oh yeah, that's like my parents. My dad's taking me to Hajj,
Oh, what's that?
pilgrimage to Mecca for Muslims.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, to save my soul.
Yeah. Is your soul saved?
Fizz is cast as a college student, so that works. But
Wait, so did your parents manage to save you from eternal damnation, or have they already given up?
You know, they kind of gave up. But they were lazy missionaries. Like everybody else, all these other Korean missionaries, they pioneered like Loyola University or
Oh,
University
wow.
of Chicago or like these big schools in Chicago, like DePaul. And my parents were like, we'll go to Triton Community College with like 2,000 enrollment.
that's so they were the underachievers.
Yes, of missionary work.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I feel like every immigrant parent's story is one of giving up on their children. 'Cause at some
Partially.
point, you got to stop fighting, you know?
Yeah, they tried so hard.
I know.
Yeah.
Shout out to mom and dad. Y'all
So who
tried
are
hard.
Esther? Who are your parents most proud of amongst you and your siblings?
My siblings.
It's you, your brother, and your sister. And I actually went to school with her sister, which is how I know Esther.
What?
Oh.
Yeah.
We went to undergrad together,
Yeah, I know. We met like a long time ago.
like almost 10 years ago.
I know. It's crazy.
Did you
Literally,
remember
like
her?
9 years
Yeah, I
ago.
You guys
I
remembered each
remember
other?
her.
Yeah.
I came up to her at the Comedy Store and I was like, hey, are you Esther? And she was like, yeah. And I think she thought I was like a fan or something. And then I was like, I know your sister Poe. And her face like lit up and she was like, you know Poe? Tell me everything. She loves her sister so
Yeah.
much. It's so great to see.
Yeah.
Is she the favorite?
Probably.
It's
Like if I have to base it on like how many times my parents visited me in college or when I moved to Boston, like it's definitely not me.
That's the other thing is you and your sister have the exact same laugh. So when the two of them are together, it's like resonant frequency. It just like goes off and takes
Yeah.
over. It's
Some
really
people
infectious.
cannot handle it.
I love it.
They run away from us and submit complaints directly to our faces. Like people have come up to us and be like, "Can you guys keep it down?" And they're pissed off.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So you grew up in the Chi,
Yeah, I did.
like just all through grade school, high school.
Yeah, I grew up in Chicago, like Rogers Park. And then when my parents kind of were fed up with the administration of the headquarters of the church, they decided to go pioneer that community college and then moved out kind of to like the suburbs.
Okay, so out like a little bit outside of
Yeah,
Chicago.
but right by O'Hare Airport, which is, it's like all these airplanes. Like we grew up with airplanes like right above us.
Oh, that sounds horribly annoying.
Yeah, you just get used to it. Like you don't know anything else.
Yeah, I guess it becomes white noise.
Yeah, it's like how Woody Allen like grew up underneath a roller coaster.
And he turned out normal, so nothing to worry about there. Never took it out on anyone.
I didn't know he grew up under a roller coaster. That explains everything.
That might. And now I'm worried about Esther.
So Esther, when you go, are your parents still at this house in Chicago?
Well, my mom died last year.
Oh.
But my dad is, yeah.
So when you go do gigs in Chicago, do you stay with your dad, and are they like supportive of your comedy
I stay
career?
in a nice hotel because my parents are like so messy. I was always cleaning their room and like cleaning the house, but it's just an endless work in progress. Like it was just disgusting.
Was it like dirt or was it like hoarding stuff?
Both.
Okay. Because I feel like a lot of parents, they just like keep so much of their stuff and their kids' stuff and it just accumulates over
No,
years.
like one time I cleaned my mom's bedroom like maybe like 8 years ago and I found like papers from like 1982 in the closet. I found like
Did it have any
an
information
orange. Well, it was just like testimonies, like Bible,
It's like
sermons.
Every time you go home, it's like a Law and Order episode where you like walk into a crime scene.
It really is. And like and people who meet me now and see how clean I am now and I'm like super organized and everything, like they have no idea like the disgusting pile of shit that I came from.
That's also what I like to call my family.
I mean, we all came out of primordial ooze, so like really, maybe you're just.
I mean, it's just a lot of work. Like it took a lot of roommates who were cleaner than me to learn how to be clean. And I've had roommates who were so frustrated with me, like I didn't know how to clean, and I would just be messy everywhere.
Yeah.
You should host like a dinner party with all your old roommates and be like, "See, I learned. I'm better now." Papa.
I know,
Papa.
But
So how long was this evolution from like going from your parents' bad habits to now you being this organized, awesome person?
It took a while. And I still have hoarding habits. Like I love Shark Tank because you watch all these like companies of all these products that you don't really need, but you're like, oh, that's awesome. I got to buy that. And then, it just collects dust. It's like, what do you really need that for?
Does your organization help you? Because I think like in creative fields, it's like really easy to get off track and like because there's so many projects and things you're working on. Do you think that has helped you like with your career too? Or
Yeah, I think it helps to be organized. I mean, it is hard for creative people to be organized sometimes.
I was just laughing because I get off track like mid sentence when I'm.
We get it.
I know. I mean, I just wanted to explain why I was laughing to myself.
Thank you.
It was weird.
I always look over at Fizz and she's always laughing to herself.
How do you spell Fizza with the F?
Izaa, so 1 Z and 2 A's.
Izaa.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it looks like fizza, but it's not.
I feel like looking at you guys, I should tell you stories about Indians I grew up with.
Esther,
No offense.
so many Koreans.
Did you grow up with a lot of Indians in Chicago?
No, but there was one in my grade school and there was one in my high school, and we were friends. Because everybody else was white.
Yo, that's in Utah. I grew up in an elementary school. I was friends with the only Thai girl in the class.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that happens.
Yep.
And me and Shamoli, she played the French horn. I played
Shout out to Shamoli.
I played the oboe, and we were
made up the entire band. They were the tutors after school.
and we were like automatic friends because everybody else was like white and in Girl Scouts. And then there's me and Shamoli. It's like, of course we're going to be friends.
Someone's got to buy the cookies.
Were you not allowed to be in the Girl Scouts?
Well, it's not that I wasn't allowed. My parents never tried.
They just didn't know that it was a thing.
Did you ask them?
No, I never tried to like be in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what's weird is my family is really into the Boy Scouts. Like my grandfather was vice president of the Boy Scouts of India, and
That explains your haircut.
Damn.
I was trying to get
Shots
in.
fired.
Excuse me.
anything.
I have this haircut because I'm always trying to be prepared. Fuck. But my brother was like an Eagle Scout too. But I don't remember my parents ever even asking me about the Girl Scouts. Like,
because you're a girl.
I asked my parents.
Yeah, but still, like, for me, my parents were like, oh, that requires more work and more rides for us. Never mind.
Damn.
Like, it was more like, I
they
don't
put me in
want
other
to put
things.
any more effort.
Well,
on a
newsflash:
child.
Asian parents don't care about girls anything.
Exactly. That's exactly
Like my
it.
dad walked out of the hospital room when I was born because he was pissed that I was a girl.
Ooh.
Oh.
and then,
you the
and then
oldest?
he had the
No,
next
I'm not
child.
even the oldest. He already had a son.
Oh, okay.
really?
So
Yeah, it's like fuck you.
Wait, so there's your older brother, you, your younger sister, and your younger brother?
And another brother.
Yeah.
There's 5 of you guys?
Yeah.
how many are boys?
Three
Three.
boys.
So we got majority.
Yeah.
That's like what, 60%?
That's a good ratio.
No, but it's like still Koreans are so macho that they think it's a reflection on their sperm if they have a girl. They're like, damn it.
Oh, he took it personally.
Yeah.
Well, that's too
Wow.
bad. In the Middle East, they used to bury female infants alive. So, I mean, they've come
If
a
we're all
That's-
lucky, we're
that's,
here.
That's where oil comes from. That's how your car runs. I'm a scientist.
Little baby girls. Oh my god. Girls do run the world.
Yeah, so things have not improved much.
Should we just dive into this because this is kind of like throughout
let's
our
do it.
conversation. So we wanted to talk to Esther because recently there was like a New York Post article about your tweets, right? Do you want to just like give us the background on what happened?
These were like old tweets that they dug up, and they were not.
This was the New York Post dug this up? Because when I saw it, it was on the Post.
Yeah.
So,
We have the article here.
and why did they
someone tip
decide
them?
to investigate this?
It ended up on like the Hapa Reddit board, and like
Okay.
it's a very toxic Reddit board.
What's Hapa?
Hapa is like the half Asian, half white community.
Yeah.
And they think that if your mom is Asian and your dad is white, that you're a product of white supremacy.
Oh, so that's specific.
Interesting.
because
Yeah.
of yellow fever.
Yeah.
I
Interesting.
see.
And it's like, God, what if somebody just loves each other? Like, does everything have to be so racist, right?
Yeah.
And so they found some tweets of mine from like 2 years ago, and it was a reply, and it was just like they talked about it on Reddit, and then people were tweeting about it, and then the New York Post was like, oh, let's write a story about it.
Were they targeting you?
Well, they were calling my tweets like racially charged.
How did they find them, though?
Can I read some of them?
Yeah, go ahead.
go
to
for
give
it.
the audience members context. White men shouldn't have to be made to feel bad about their attraction to Asian females. They make nicer partners than wife-beating Asian men.
That was a reply to somebody,
Yeah.
because some white guy tweeted at me and said something about Asian guys give me a dirty look when I hit on Asian girls
Okay.
or something, and that's why I said that.
Okay,
But it's like nowadays you got to be careful when you reply, because I reply to people all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody's looking at that too. You can't
Right.
just like that's not private.
You
I'm
can't
gonna
like refute your trolls, and that's what really makes
I'm
me.
gonna say the next one, and you say the last word. Okay.
You could say it.
No, I want it to be funny. Wait, hold on. I think this will be funnier. Ready?
Get your timing right.
Get ready. Don't act like these self-driving cars aren't being made for us.
Chinks.
I was just going to say the CH word, but
I liked when she said
The
it.
CH word.
And then I'm like chunt. No,
Chutney.
chutney.
That's the other CH word.
Yeah. And then some people in response in this article, they were like, this whole I'm such a rad Asian because I hate Asians and love white people shtick is getting thoroughly tiresome now. Someone else said, why do you have to degrade Asian men to attract white men? Do you realize your actions are embarrassing Asian American women by feeding into anti-Asian racism? And then Ku shot back in a since deleted tweet. Do you realize you're embarrassing Asian Americans by not being able to take a joke? Quit taking everything as an attack and lighten up.
seriously.
Well said.
Yeah. So this story, it didn't really go that viral, only within like the Asian community.
Yeah.
And on my Twitter and Instagram
Because I saw it on your Twitter.
because it's not such a grave injustice. It's just yellow on yellow crime, which nobody gives a shit about.
Is that acceptable to say? Is yellow offensive?
I mean,
I
I'm,
wouldn't say
I'm
it.
yellow,
She can say
so
it.
I
She
say it.
Okay. Because
She said the chutney word, so we're fine.
Yeah, now we're even.
the CHU word.
I don't know. Are you offended by brown?
So
I'm not.
I'm like, it depends on how somebody says it. And, like,
Right.
I think it depends on the person. Sometimes I'm like,
if
whatever.
it's followed by the N word, then
Yeah.
then I'm offended.
But sometimes people say it like with disgust, and you're like, ugh. Like, you know, when people tell racist jokes, and then someone else is telling one, and you're like, no, don't. That guy's too real. Like, it's like too serious. But so I guess like you feel like you should be able to like make all like these jokes that you want to make and like portray Asian culture based on your own experiences, which you said have been like with Asian men, which have been not the best.
Right. Yeah, I'm speaking from firsthand experience. It's not like I was adopted by white people and I'm like, I hate Asians.
Yeah.
You know, those goddamn Asians. So it's like they're getting mad about nothing. And actually what they did was like help raise my profile because everybody's
That's
like,
great. Yeah.
yo, I saw your New York Post story. That's awesome. And it's so funny how people get
Free
confused.
publicity.
It is free publicity because people will be like, yo, I saw you on page 6. And it technically wasn't on page 6, but people just equate New York Post
Yeah.
with
To
page
page
6.
6, right.
So they're like, yo, I saw that, man. And it's just been like, it's free publicity. You can't pay for that kind of publicity.
So why did you delete this tweet? Because I think it's a great
Yeah,
comeback.
I should have just left it.
I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Do you delete tweets or do you like?
I do.
I only delete them if I have like a grammatical error and then I like put it back up. But I haven't like why do you delete tweets just to get rid of the?
Well, at first I didn't know if I should draw attention to this story or not.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized, you know what, fuck it. And then I started replying to all my haters, and then my followers started like getting involved and like fighting
Mm-hmm.
back, and it became like this whole war on my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
It was great.
I mean, I like that.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and it comes in waves because
Yeah.
like nobody's tweeting about it right now.
Yeah.
You know, it just for like 2 weeks, it was just nonstop, or maybe a week, you know, and people arguing with each other on there.
But honestly, no PR is bad PR. Like I
Yeah.
think you did great because you're also raising awareness to the sensitivity that people have over like racially, quote unquote, racially charged tweets when you're really just talking about your own experience as an Asian American.
I mean, like in the Korean community, there is a huge violence problem against women. And I am actually making jokes based on the truth. And the truth is, a lot of Korean guys have beaten their wives and do get drunk and are violent towards women. And this is true in a lot of Asian cultures, or it's just true in a lot of cultures in general. Like women, we just get the shit end of the stick, and a lot of men beat us. So, for me to joke about it, like a lot of these people online who are, writing like, oh, I guess I'm a wife beater because I'm an Asian man. And they're like a millennial, like 22-year-old fucking Asian kid being like, oh, I guess I'm a wife beater. And it's like, okay, you might not be a fucking wife beater.
but you know one.
But you're related to
You're
one.
definitely related to one.
Yeah.
Go talk to your uncles about it.
And so when they see that I'm tweeting about this stuff or saying this stuff in my act, they don't know how to take the hyperbole and translate it. Like they just think like, oh, I guess she said that I'm a wife beater, so I am one.
I think there's also the pressure of like being the like you're like rebelling against the pressure to be like the model minority, right? Because like there's so much pressure to when you have a larger platform to put on this appearance to like, you know, you want to bring your people with you want to bring them up, but you also don't want to like say things that aren't true, and you want to like address actual issues in the community.
Well, like when you said hyperbole, like do you think they were pissed off because of the generalization? They just took it literally to mean like, oh, well, I guess she's talking about me.
Yeah, they think that I mean literally every single Asian man beats their wife. And obviously that's not true.
Yeah.
But I would also like to bring to light that is a big issue in Asian communities. And in so many Asian communities and families, you're supposed to keep things a secret. And it's shameful to talk about your problems to other people at church or in your community, and you're not supposed to bring shame to your family, even if you're getting beat at home.
You want to look perfect, right?
Right. It's so much much pressure to like look perfect to everybody in your neighborhood. And so
I think that's true in South Asian communities as well. There's that's what we were talking about before with Hassan's special, where it was like, what will people say? Like, what will people talk about?
Think.
And what will people think? And that's like that. It's so it's kind of like a snake eating its tail, because it's like you're putting this pressure that's unnecessary on you and your family, and it just causes the unhappiness rather than just like being
it's
yourself.
more important to save face in the Asian community than it is to tell the truth or to like bring light to problems that affect us and affect our psyche and our emotional health. Like there's no value placed on our emotional well-being at all.
I mean, shame is an epidemic, I think, in Asian and South Asian cultures.
Yeah.
Where you can't even talk about stuff. There's no dialogue. Like, I never had a sex talk with my parents.
Not just a sex talk, but even just a self-esteem talk.
Love yourself.
mental health issues, that's like a huge problem.
That was swept under the rug a lot when I was growing up.
And it's something that has to be retaught and readdressed over and over again with like, same family members or whatever. It's something that, like, I think because like the generation above us, they were like born into this like shame culture or whatever, that we have to like reteach them over and over again.
They have to be reprogrammed. They don't have the vocabulary to even identify what's going on.
No, like they might have the best of intentions, but they just don't know that it's okay to talk about it and okay to talk about it as freely as we do now. But it's definitely an epidemic that does take lives, like that's something that is close to my heart, and that's something that we, like in all the communities, should really address and put forth.
I knew a young Bangladeshi girl, probably 10 or 11 at the time, and I think her family pulled out last minute of an arranged marriage. She was only 10 or 11, and the
child bride.
Yeah, the suitor threw acid on her face and melted half her face. She was missing an eyeball, and this was like a child.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when Slumdog Millionaire came out, like a lot of people were in the Indian community were upset that India was being portrayed that way and that like the slums were being shown and stuff. And I understand that like you don't want people to only think of your country and like, this culture that is so rich and has so many things to offer as only that, but it doesn't make it not true. It doesn't make that
That's just one part of it.
It's one part of it. And it's not the fault of like the artist or the creator for highlighting something that is true.
They want a more well-rounded
We just
portrayal.
need more creators and more artists and more shots of, these different cultures.
I know. I find that Asians get so sensitive about like things like when that movie Crashing, was it Crashing? Crash came out. And there was like one small scene where like the Korean lady starts yelling about the car accident, and it's like, well, that's what Korean ladies do. They yell. Like every Korean lady I know has a yelling problem.
We were actually.
Do you have a yelling problem?
That's actually an accurate portrayal. And this is something we need to bring to light. But they're like, well, not all Korean. I'm like, yes, they do.
But
I will say all ladies have a yelling problem.
Or
like
they should.
I have that's how I express myself sometimes. Sometimes I just need to yell.
I have noticed that like I'll yell around. I was literally last night with Andrea and I was like, I'm so glad I can yell with you. And she was like, yeah, because we were just like yelling in the car. But that's like how we like just get feelings out. And like when I do that around my male friends, they think I'm mad at them. And I'm like, no, I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling about this other thing.
I'm just expressing myself.
Yeah. But like what you were saying about the Korean lady, we were talking about this a little while ago about Apu and how people were upset about Apu and him being. But when we were at lunch talking about it, the majority of us, a lot of the Desi comedians, we were saying that like the only issue we really had was that it was voiced by a white dude. But other than that, like the character of Apu wasn't that bad.
He was an upstanding character.
He was like
actually
a good citizen.
He was
in general.
funny.
He was funny.
It's like every character in The Simpsons is an exaggeration of who they are, and everything's offensive. So it's like for one Indian guy, if you're a comedian and you're gonna attack one of the longest standing cartoons, like
I understand like the part, like the fact that Hank Azaria voiced it is like pretty problematic. But other than that, like, but it's not The Simpsons' fault that there weren't other representations.
Yeah,
like at the time that was like my role model was Apu growing.
Well, that was
the only brown person. We were just sitting there watching his wedding
But for
episode.
me, like Lisa Simpson was a role model for me.
Yes.
And it's like I don't understand like why you have to like only find role models that are your race.
Right.
Because I identified with Lisa Simpson. Okay, granted she's yellow and I'm yellow.
That whole show was made for you.
But she had those big bug eyes, so she
God.
wasn't really Asian. But I just don't buy that. Like, why does like I looked up to Joan Rivers and Jim Carrey, and they're not Asian. So
I did too, but you know what? I think we didn't really have options. It would have been nice to sort of have
because I didn't think that I could be a comedian when I was growing up because I didn't see Indian comedians, so I didn't even think that was like an opportunity for people in our culture. Like it didn't even occur to me. But now that I see like other people who are like similar to me, I'm like, oh, like I could do that. Like, oh, that's possible. And I do think it's true. Like when you see female math teachers and like female professors and people just in leadership positions.
It's a model.
You like relate to them. It kind of shows. So I understand that, but I do have. Obviously, you can take characteristics and drive from people outside of your like race or your culture. Like all of the people that motivate me now are like my peers in comedy. And they're not the same.
I don't know. My issue with culture is everyone gets their panties in a bunch, and everyone wants to find a scapegoat and blame that person.
Exactly.
People aren't criticizing the concept that's being said, the idea. They're criticizing the person and identifying with them.
I know. So
like you said a shit thing, so you're a shit person.
These hapa people made me their scapegoat.
Yeah.
Because they can't get laid, and they're like, it's her fault because that we're not fuckable. I'm like, really? And then you couldn't get laid before I started comedy.
You should take them on a makeover, like Queer Eye for the racist guy.
It's true.
Was I just yelling?
Huh?
Would guys consider that yelling?
Maybe, probably.
Yeah.
Man.
But I do. Okay, so I want to talk about your come up. So you said Joan Rivers, Jim Carrey were kind of your role models and people that you looked up to when you were coming up. What was that journey like? Like when you first started actually like doing rooms and doing gigs more and more? Like when did you realize like, okay, this is going to be my career and I'm going to pursue this head on?
I moved to Boston and I took a comedy class in Boston with this guy, Steve Kalishman, at like an adult center for education. And I just started in the open mic scene. And for me, being a girl and being somebody whose parents always said, don't hang out in bars, evil people go there. I kind of like sat in my car for like 10 minutes being like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to go to a bar by myself. Because usually I went to bars with my friends in college.
Yeah.
So here I am, like, who do I think I am? I hope nothing happens to me. And I'm like just a girl by herself going into a bar. But then I get there and they're just doing comedy. It's like, oh, this is harmless. Like, it's not like people with like Harley Davidson like jackets and like
just a bunch
mohawks
of
and like tattooed people. Like that's what my parents imagined was
Bar
happening
fights and
at bars.
It wasn't scary.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of dorks telling jokes.
Right.
Yeah.
So once I went to my first show and I just got into the swing of things, I just loved it, and I just haven't stopped since.
Did you have to do like other things to keep afloat until you started making money in comedy?
Yeah, when I first moved to Boston, I actually was selling pens. I worked for the company that made Sharpie markers.
Ooh.
So I was a traveling pen sales rep.
That's so funny.
It was they had sales reps for pens.
Did you ever steal it to write jokes with?
I didn't have to because my basement was full of pens. Like my job was to give out samples of the latest pens and markers.
Sharpies smell amazing, by the way.
So I read somewhere that you were
Zara
actually
doesn't need an edible.
you were actually let go from that job for laughing too much.
Yeah, my boss was very white and from Ohio. And when we sat down for our performance review, he was like, well, your numbers are good. And like, we're happy with your performance here. But, your business professionalism is very lacking. Because I would just like bust out laughing in the middle of, pen meetings.
Yeah.
Pens.
You're bringing this company down with your joy.
I know. So he just hated me, and he was just super racist. Yeah. No, he was. But it was kind of good because they needed to push me out, and oh my God, get this. So it was all like young people working there. It was all like we were all straight out of college, and they would gossip about me. They're like, oh, Ku does comedy on the side. And then you know how these corporate climbers like use anything against you and talk shit behind your back so that they can get promoted? I'm like, chill, you guys. I'm not trying to get promoted.
Yeah, I'm not trying to take
I just
your
want
spot.
to keep my company car and just keep going to Staples so I can go to like Vermont to do my shows. and they're like, yeah, Ku does comedy. And they're like, so I heard you do comedy. And like they would use it against me like as if I don't really love selling pens. They're like, she really loves comedy though.
But now those guys are so successful in their pen selling operations.
They all have climbed the corporate ladder. Yeah.
Wow. Sharpie, huh?
Mm-hmm. But it was great because I gave like all my comedian friends free pens and shit, and would drive them to gigs and not ask for gas money because I had a gas card. And
that's dope.
Yeah.
It definitely does help having like means to like fuel your comedy career a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because I was able to do like road gigs earlier, and I'm able to take those gigs, and then sometimes like I'll take other people with me, or like other people will like need rides.
I always
like,
bring Zara or Fizzle.
Yeah. Or they're like, oh, you
have a car.
Yeah, or it's like the comedians that have like quit their full-time gigs, and they're like, all right, I'm headlining. Do you want to like come open or feature? Also, do you want to drive me? Like kind of thing.
That's the big pull.
It's a good way to get work.
Yeah, it's a good way to get work. Even though, like, sometimes I think, like, is this the only reason I'm getting work?
No.
Because you have a car.
No.
Yeah, like, I'm starting to feel
no, there's a lot of
unfunny
unfunny comedians with cars, and we don't call them, so don't worry.
Like, what? But I think I'm on some, like, spreadsheet or some list somewhere of, like, comedians who have a car.
She's definitely on my spreadsheet, which is literally everyone.
I'll add you to my spreadsheet.
Awesome. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, so after you, we talked a little bit earlier about her doing Last Comic Standing, and then after that you did Girl Code?
Yeah.
That's where I saw you. And then I saw you in person out here in LA. I'm like, that's Esther Ku. I kind of had like a fangirl moment. And now I'm okay.
What was Girl Code like? How'd you get on that?
It's just a boring story. I went to an audition in New York.
Amazing.
It's not like somebody discovered me somewhere.
Were you living in Boston at the time?
I was living in Miami, actually.
Okay.
And then I flew to New York for the audition. And I actually didn't know what Guy Code was because I didn't watch MTV.
Yeah.
So it kind of was good. Sometimes when you're ignorant, it kind of helps you because had I known that Guy Code was all over Times Square and it was such a popular show, I would have been nervous going into the audition. But I was just like, okay, whatever. Like I've been on a million auditions. Like this is just number 251 audition. And then when I got there at MTV, it's like all young people running the network. It's like literally 25-year-olds. So it was just easy to make them laugh and, 25-year-olds laugh at anything, so.
Y'all a bunch of dum-dums.
You're a fun demographic. We love you. Please keep coming to our shows.
But you stupid, though. But you stupid.
No, stop it. They're brilliant people. They're the future.
Pallavi, you're so aggressive.
I know. I'm so combative.
You're so combative.
I'm combative. Zara likes to party. And what's Fizz's thing?
Just weird.
Giggling.
Just a weird giggler.
Asking people for cookies.
Yeah.
She wanted some cookies.
I wanted some Nutter Butters.
Out of line cookie asker here.
So where? What happened
Cookie
to the
monster.
cookies?
Pallavi forgot to bring me cookies.
Sorry, I bought the tea.
Thank you.
Thank you for the tea.
Thank you,
Pallavi.
But Nutter Butters.
I know. I'm sorry.
Nutter Butters are some good cookies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're vegan.
What? They are?
I think so.
What?
I'm like 95%
There must
sure.
be
Sure,
milk
vegan.
in the cookie part.
No, I think Nutter Butters are
And
no
full
animal
of
byproduct.
protein.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a perfect food.
Wow.
Sponsored
Butter.
by Nutter Butter.
You want to sponsor this
Definitely
podcast.
not sponsored by Sharpie. Sorry to Sharpie.
That'd be funny if you got discovered by someone you sold a Sharpie to.
Well, that
Like that's how you got Girl Code.
I should just tell people that, right?
Or like if that's how you got an SNL. I heard that an SNL for their note cards or like their cards, they like are very careful about like the Sharpies that they use, and each person writing out their card is very like anal about it.
No way.
Yeah, because they all have to like be perfect or whatever for the show.
You know what is so funny? Like when you work for a corporation like that, like you got to be such a dork, right? Like, so if you're watching Law and Order and there's like somebody's using a Uniball pen on the TV show, whoever like emails the team first, like, did you guys see the Uniball Gel 207 on Law and Order last night? And like people just like are always brown nosing.
Yo,
and they get so excited that
I identify pens like that.
Yeah. And
This can't be real.
I was always so confused. I was like, do these people hate their job or love their job? And I still don't know.
Yeah.
I think they have nothing else going on in their lives. That might be why.
I mean, but the thing is, they kind of brainwash you. Like, I would get excited too.
Oh, weird. It was like a corporate cult.
Yes, they really do.
Kind of
brain
like
wash
The
you.
Office. It's like The Office.
It is
with,
like The Office,
paper
yeah.
Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
God.
I mean, you drank the company Kool-Aid. That's what they call it. Like everyone at some point you get so immersed because, I don't know, you want that next promotion or you want that some sort of
Or
recognition.
you don't have friends.
Yeah.
And that's how you get friends.
I don't know. Like with comedy, like this, I feel like I'm like this with my day job right now. Like I'm just so busy. Like I'm just trying to get my work done during the day and get out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I get a lot of the same thing. Like, so how's the comedy going? Comedy, like people at work are
and
always like
I
saying
wish
that.
I wish I had never told
Yeah.
anybody that I do comedy.
Same, because it's definitely like
They use it against you.
yeah. At first they didn't. Everyone seemed very supportive, but now it's like some people who are not like supportive like use it against me. Like I did gigs in New York for a week and a half, and the lady I was reporting it to at the time was just such like I don't even want
Chutney.
Well, they're just
like she was just not
they're just
like supportive
jealous.
at all.
Listen,
you
they're
know?
just jealous that you have a passion outside of what they do. To them,
Yeah.
that's all they do, and they just are just surviving and just making a living and clocking in and out, and they could care less about it. They don't have a passion.
Yeah.
So deep down inside, they're jealous that you know what your calling is and that you want to, you know what you want to do with your life, and they don't.
It's also like really hard to explain to people when that clicks, because I know that like for a while like I didn't know what I was doing or like what I wanted to do, and it's like kind of hard to like explain once it fits into your life and you're like, oh, this is where every part of me is going. It's really hard to show people like that drive and that like burning in you to like want to do this, because if they've never experienced it before, they're like, what? Okay, but also like we can go to a bar.
If they've had a UTI, they know the burning sensation.
Yeah, I knew
We
that you were
all
gonna
know
go for
that burning sensation.
It's just hard for me to believe. Well, I'm not going to say that. It's interesting that some people seem satisfied climbing the corporate ladder, because for me, it felt soul grating. Like I think I mentioned it. I'd want to get into car accidents on my way to work, like not fatal.
But don't we always all want to get
Yeah.
into car accidents? No, just me. Okay, never mind.
I'm always scared
What
I'm
is
going to
that
get into
all
a car
about?
accident.
That's my therapist said that those are called intrusive thoughts and that everybody has them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
Anyways,
Didn't mean to. But I was going to say, like, so,
I heard what consumes your mind consumes your life.
okay.
Whoa.
So
I'm just reading Paul's t-shirt.
So like when I first moved to LA, I got a corporate job, and it just I knew I moved here to be creative. I didn't move here to get a freaking corporate job. And
But you had to pay rent.
I had to
We
pay
all
rent.
have to do.
But it's almost like people think you're just wired differently if you're a creative versus an exec, like a corporate exec.
Well, they look at you like you have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And
Yeah.
they have 2
Yes.
feet in, and they're drowning.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, well, the thing is, I'm not invested in this, and they're correct. So I understand. Like that's why maybe you should have told them, because they know, it's out there now. But like I just wasn't invested.
Yeah.
I didn't want to work for the man. I wanted to work for me.
Right.
So here.
Good for you.
So how was the group like at Girl Code? Did you work with a lot of those girls often, or were you kind of off by yourself, like doing the?
Well, Girl Code is shot on a green screen, just in a studio. So I didn't even meet the other girls for a while.
Like after
Like,
until you were doing PR and stuff like that?
I mean, like until sometimes season 2 or something, because everybody's schedule was they would bring us in for we would shoot like 4 episodes a day, and they would bring us in for like 2 hours at a time, and you would be sitting in front of the camera for 2 hours, and they ask you questions about frenemies and waxing and one night stands, and it's just you in front of the camera.
Would they write for you though, or was it also like kind of improv and you would be responding?
They had a team
Like an interview.
of comedians writing the questions, and then they would ask us the questions on camera.
Would you get the questions ahead of time?
A lot of it was improv, and they did send us the questions ahead of time. Yeah. So you could think about it and you could write jokes, but sometimes it's better to just come up with it on the spot.
Did you like how they packaged it? Because I'm sure they like edit it together like in a way that you wouldn't know.
You know, right. Like you just say whatever you want. I think a lot of my stuff, a lot of my answers that I gave them, like their reactions were just like, oh, okay, that's not going to make it in. Like I could just be so nasty and like my mind is just like, you know, in the gutter all the time that I would just always find a way to make every answer dirty or about sex that it was just kind of like, okay, yeah. Let's move on to the next question.
Do you have any do you recall any of those sort of extreme things that you said that couldn't be used?
Because it can be used here.
Yeah, we don't have any censorship.
I mean, it was a while ago. I don't really.
You don't remember anything that ended up on the cutting floor that you were like, oh, I wish they could have kept that.
No, because there's so much material. I don't remember much that I said.
And at this point, it's been a while ago, right?
Yeah. I remember more the rap that I did on Wildin' Out that didn't make it to the air.
Oh,
yeah. Do you remember it? Do you remember it?
I went up to Nick Cannon and I said, I heard you on the Howard Stern show. You're 9 inches long. I'm 6 inches deep. Let's take the other 3 and shove it up a sheep. And they didn't air it because I guess it was about
bestiality.
Yeah. And maybe my rhythm was also off.
Bestiality.
That's why it was more embarrassing about the rhythm than
Bestiality is the next frontier.
I'm sure Nick would have loved that, though.
Wait.
Did he respond to it?
No. Hold on. Let's go back to Fizz's comment about how bestiality is the next frontier.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people who love animals might want some.
But it's not consensual.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say it's right or wrong.
Okay.
I don't know. Guillermo del Toro wants us to go fuck fish, so I don't know. If you saw Shape of Water.
Yeah, I haven't.
They're making fish creatures now because men suck that badly.
Wait. But does that count as a lesbian because it's a fish?
Huh.
Good question.
That is a
Never
great
thought
question.
about
Yeah.
that.
Do fishes have genitals?
They like poop out.
I don't know, but some guy got.
They like drop their eggs and then they get fertilized.
Some guy had like a consensual relationship with a dolphin.
What?
Like had sex with
Dolphins
a dolphin.
will sometimes try to.
Dolphins
rape
you.
Rape.
Oh, rape.
Yeah.
Okay, well, me too.
Wait, did you think that it was gonna like bring you flowers before?
Hey, hold
She was
on.
like, he was trying to smash.
I thought
he
maybe
slid
it'd be
into
a
my
nuzzle.
DMs. He slid into my DMs with an.
Hold on.
Shit.
Rewind. There was a dude out there who had a consensual
Like the fish
relationship with the dolphin?
fucked him, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Dolphins do that though.
Oh, so it was like guy on guy?
I don't know
yeah.
what the dolphin was.
Okay.
Well, like male dolphin on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Male dolphin on human.
Oh, so my friend. I have to say this. My friend. Have I said this before on the podcast? My friend was listening to like Dr. Drew or whatever, and they were talking about bestiality, and they had this guy call in, and he was someone who had fucked a horse, and they were asking him all these questions, like genuinely like curious about like what motivated him and stuff and why he
Top
did it.
or bottom?
No, hold on, wait.
Oh my God.
Wait, listen.
Yeah.
And then they were like, okay, we have to ask you this. Was it a male horse or a female horse? And the guy paused and he was like, I'm not a homosexual. So that answers that question.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways,
So he definitely took it up the butt.
I mean, horse fucking must be a thing from like people must have done that for years, like back in the day.
Oh, I'm sure people have been fucking
because-
animals for years.
Because how else would they come up with the drawing of the centaur?
Oh, that's true.
You know,
That's
that must
true.
have been a fear of people. Like,
Yeah.
I came in that
Or
horse.
like they were like, this
and
is what
now-
our baby's gonna look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to think about it. Like men were away at war for years and years and years without any women around. So
They were fucking their horses.
something was happening.
Those hips and thighs. You've seen a horse's ass.
Oh my God.
Yes.
This podcast sponsored by Bestiality.
The next
That's
frontier.
also why guys are more attracted to girls who wear ponytails than your hair down.
I've got two.
Really?
I thought it was
pigtails.
That's a thing.
I thought it was just because it's easier to assault them.
That's all I have to do. Wear a ponytail.
Yes. If you want to get hit on, put your hair in a ponytail and it's like
Okay, so this is why the big booties are doing so
oh my
well.
God. That's why
right?
they say nays, because
Donkey
they're not
booties.
consenting.
Horse fucking is just that common.
I guess.
that they were evolved to say nay.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right. Going back to Esther's comedy career.
Which part of it is most like horse fucking to you?
No comment. Pass.
Okay. So girl code. But then when you were in LA, so you came here from Miami.
Yep.
Which is, are you still like based in Miami?
I'm based here now.
Okay.
Ooh,
And
I'm
then-
from Florida.
You are where?
Fort Myers, but I went to University of Miami.
Oh my God. That is like the fanciest school I have ever been to. You guys have like valet parking.
I mean, I didn't get to use it. I got parking tickets, but like they are fancy. They're fancier now. Like,
They're so fancy.
yeah, I'm not going to age myself, but yeah, I'm from Florida. Sorry.
So wait, how did you end up in Miami? Because you went from Chicago to Boston. And
I
then
just,
what?
I was just in New York for 7 years, and it's just like when you're constantly, everything in your Facebook inbox is like comedy show flyer. You're like, okay, enough. And I just like was like, I'm going to go retire in Florida. And I did. And then I was like, okay, let me get my shit together. And then I came here.
Oh, you chose to go to Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I was
But then once I went to Florida, that's when I booked Girl Code because I would fly up to New York for auditions.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm flying up for an audition, I'm going to make it count. I'm going to like, be decked out. I'm going to look my best. I'm going to be prepared. And it psychologically, if you're invested
better.
$200 plane ticket and a hotel, like to go kill it at this audition, I did. Whereas like, if you get like 3 auditions a week and you're just like, okay, taking it for granted, you're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't care as much. So
then-
it made me care more, actually.
Yeah.
So move away from the city of your dreams.
So I
fly back in.
always look at comedians who like start in LA, like, what are you doing?
I'm here.
Because I think I like that I made a lot of mistakes on the East Coast where it's limited industry people, and like just making all kinds of stupid mistakes. And I think it's
making plenty of mistakes.
it's better to get it
in
out of
front
the way.
Everyone.
in smaller cities than here where it's the center of show business.
What are some mistakes that you think that you made?
Just being an obnoxious dick off stage to other comedians or, just being like in character at the bar and then pissing people off, it's just more because, we all have like very, strong personalities. So a lot of times our personalities can clash with other comedians and, we're not all friends.
And which of those mistakes have you fucked?
Well, one guy, he doesn't do comedy anymore. So
You
usually
took his powers.
Yeah. I castrated him.
He probably wasn't that good to begin with.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, so
Any horses?
no horses, maybe a baby pony.
Oh my goodness, not the baby.
No.
It was an adult picnic,
Yes.
so there was consent.
So after, I'm just moving through this.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, because we're gonna keep coming back to it. So after you moved to Florida, though, you came here. You were doing like a sketch show here, like last year, right?
Oh yeah.
What was that sketch show?
It was a sketch show with 3 girls, 4 of us. It was they were Vine stars.
Oh yeah,
And they were making it an all-female sketch show. So
What was the name of the sketch
it
show?
was called Sorry Not Sorry. And
I like it.
Did that last like one season?
It lasted 1 season, but it brought me out here.
Yeah.
So
Our version would be sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked that up. Some other brown lady is using that name for her production company. I tried to.
Does she have it
incorporate that name.
trademarked?
She
though?
does have it trademarked.
Oh, okay.
She does.
She's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was actually the other girls, the other cast members on the show were all white, and then there was me. And the one thing that was kind of like my welcome to LA moment was every sketch in the show that was written for us did not address the fact that I'm Asian. Like it was almost like
Oh, because they don't see color.
yeah, because it was
Right.
always like, oh well, we're just gonna be PC and not even. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, let's use it. Like, I don't I don't
Why
mind
not?
using it's like, it's almost reverse racism.
Yeah.
If
Not
you guys are
acknowledge
like acting like I'm one of you, I look totally
Yeah.
different than the 3 of you.
Yeah, that's part of the problem I have with, and a lot of people are talking about this. Like sometimes some rooms are so politically correct that they clench up about like the smallest things. Like me even talking about being Muslim American, they're like, oh no, you can't talk about that. I'm like, what? That's who I am. What the fuck?
You know,
so it's just,
about that.
I know.
We don't talk about that here.
We talk
like
about
what?
our
It's like it
picket
makes them
fences.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a minority. I'm actually enlightening you about the minority experience in the United States. You should be enlightened and your ears should perk up.
This is like the thing that I do that I've learned from my friends to practice this is that we all have like our racist or sexist moments or whatever, and then you just have to be like, my brain is dumb. I gotta fix that. You know, you have to like acknowledge it and then like fix it, right? But if you just completely ignore it, then you're like lucky to not have to acknowledge it, to not have to acknowledge these like issues faced by minorities.
No, I think when people are trying to not be racist, sometimes that's when they're the most racist. Like I had a manager tell me, I'm reading all these pilots and nothing for funny Asian girl has popped up yet. I'm like, is that why I haven't been sent out on any auditions? Like that's how you see me? Like
because nothing for funny Asian girl.
And it's like a lot of these auditions.
There's plenty for funny women.
They're or just women. Like I could play stoner, I could play secretary, whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of these breakdowns have all ethnicities, but he would just be limited and just pigeonhole me as that. And that would prevent me from even getting the opportunity to audition for
Did you
stuff.
fire
You want to
him?
be pigeonholed as
know
a
I did.
stoner.
I'd be so offended.
She
If
wants
my
to
agent
play.
just sent me to Indian roles. I'd be
wants
so
to play
offended.
a stoner.
Yo, I was so pissed off because here I thought, like, why am I not getting any auditions? Like here I'm paying like fucking, expensive ass rent here and like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like,
No, you should be going in for the stoners.
yeah.
You
Well,
should
be going in for everything.
Yeah.
No, I mean when I did
Everything.
I did a sitcom that lasted 7 episodes in New York, the Jack and Triumph show, and when I auditioned for that, it was open to all ethnicities, and then when I went to the screen test, it was me and 2 other blonde girls. So
Ooh, you're their ethnic option.
right, well, but they were just looking for a funny girl,
Yeah.
so
Right.
it didn't matter. Technically, they weren't looking for white or Asian
Yeah.
or anything. I just happened to beat them to the role.
Did you ask him why he only submitted you for Asian roles instead of the roles that were open?
Because he's racist.
Exactly.
Damn, you had your own agent was racist?
I mean,
rough.
And then when I look at his client list, it's like they're all white. I'm like,
Yeah.
what was I thinking going with him to begin with?
there's a lot. So when I first got out here to LA, like within like 3 shows, there was an agent that was at one of the shows, called me into his office. We had a meeting. I go in and he was like, so how do you feel about submitting some headshots of you wearing a headscarf? And I was like brand new to LA. So I'm like, what? Like I didn't experience this in New York at all. Like, what are you talking about? And then I look out his window and it's like a billboard of Priyanka Chopra for Quantico. And I'm like, of course, yeah, you're looking and you're only ever going to send me out for these roles. Forget it. Like I'm fine doing that if the role calls for it.
Yeah.
But you should be thinking about me as like everything.
Yeah.
You know,
Can you
everything.
just hold this suicide
Yeah.
bomb vest for a second?
Yeah,
in this
exactly.
picture?
Right.
They're like, wait, you
Sorry.
want me? They're like, no, you're just to make you more marketable. I'm like, to make me marketable as a woman who
You're
can
like,
wear a
look at my
headscarf?
beautiful face. This is not marketable
sorry.
enough.
Like, I don't
the entire
understand.
audition is
It's
you just
lazy.
The
That's
entire
what it
audition
is.
is you
Yeah.
just coming in and going la 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 la. Can you do
Exactly.
that?
I was so offended that I got turned off from like acting for like
Yeah.
a good 1.5, 2 years. And like, I don't want to deal with any other agent that's going to put me in this box.
Ooh.
You know?
I met with the manager once
Yeah.
and I told her how old I was and she's like, don't tell casting your real age. You look really young. And then she looked at this one line between my eyebrows and she's like, except for that one little line. I was like, this bitch is a mean mom. She's a mean mom. And I was just but she's like, it's okay. Botox can fix it. You'll be okay.
Oh my
It's
god.
so crazy.
And then like, okay, so she had a dog in her office and I was holding that dog and the dog was like, please take me out of here. Like it was
I would have brought my George Foreman and put
could
that
you-
dog right in that grill.
How
Give me
could
a
you
wait for the
tell?
mean mom.
How could you tell with all the Botox in that dog's face?
yeah, so I think agents across I think Hollywood itself, like they're trying. You know, they're trying with the whole like Oscar so white movement last year. They're really trying, but they're still stuck in it's like an evolution, right? Like some people are kind of down with it and others are still kind of stuck in this old school.
I've been in
Hollywood
a
mentality.
meeting pitching to 2 white 35-year-old agents. and they could not look me in the eye. And I almost felt like, I seriously think it's because they were racist, but I'm pitching a show to them and they could not look at me. They kept looking at my partner who's white.
Oh,
and
that's happened to me before.
they could not look me in the eye because
Is your partner a man?
Yeah, it's almost like they were not comfortable. They had never spoken to an Asian person who wasn't their waitress.
Or were they going to get a boner as soon as they looked at you? Like, is that it? Like, they've never worked with women before?
It was so uncomfortable that I'm just like, I walked out of the meeting going, oh my God, did you notice that they didn't even look at me ever?
That's the worst.
So I went to the vet with my dog and my white friend, and the veterinarians who were like not white, but they just like kept talking to my white friend thinking that it was her dog. The stereotype of how much white ladies spend on their dogs.
Yeah.
But I fit that. And so it was so awkward because I'd have to be like stand up and be like, yeah, I think I've decided to do this treatment. And then they'd have to like readjust. And I'm like, even in the vet? Really? I'm pitching my dog's
racist everywhere in every crevice.
Yeah.
Oh, the worst is to be like in a group of men and like say something that's funny.
I hate this.
And then like a man will repeat it like right after you and everyone will laugh.
This happened to me in college all the time, and my friends would like purposefully ignore me because they thought it was funny to ignore me, but it made me feel so fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like I felt so bad. I thought I wasn't as funny as my friends, and like looking back, like I'm just as funny, if not funnier than them, but like they would do this over and over again, and I was the only girl in that group of friends, and we all loved comedy and we all wanted to be funny, and they would just constantly do that, and it completely like undermined my like self-confidence with how funny I was.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was my
So they did that on purpose, though.
They did it on. They would do it accidentally and then reinforce it on purpose. Like it was a combination.
Oh, you'd call them out on it.
I'd be like, I just said that, and they'd be like, "Ha, no, you didn't," or like whatever, and then they'd purposefully start doing it, and I was like, "This is fucking awful." To not be know as a woman to not be heard on purpose is like the worst. 'Cause it's like when dudes have like that fake misogyny that they think is so funny, and then you're like, that is real though. It's happening right now.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God. I have friends whose husbands do this whole fake misogyny thing. Like, go make me a sandwich, like as a joke.
Yeah.
And it just pisses me off because it's like, that's not funny.
It's so tiring.
Like, come up with something
I'd rather have
original.
a real misogynist.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least feel what you're saying.
Commit.
Yeah.
I've been on a date before with a guy, and I was laughing at all my jokes because like I find first dates like the best place to write jokes.
Yeah.
Aren't they?
Yeah,
Are they not the best place?
Like
I have some
Tinder
great
and
material
stuff,
on
like-
first dates.
Yeah, because I always bring out my notebook during first dates because you're basically in an interview and you're telling him about you.
Yeah.
And that's where, good comedy is supposed to be personal based on who you
I'm
are.
gonna start swiping right
love
now.
this.
Yeah, I need to join some dating
on.
sites.
This is
for the
amazing. I can't
material.
believe that. That's crazy.
No, I always come up with so much material on first dates. And then so one time I was like laughing at stuff that I was coming up with, and he's like, "This is great. Every time you laugh, everybody here thinks I'm making you laugh."
Fuck off. What? Fuck
I mean, that is kind of funny though. Like I see.
No, and then I brought him
So combative.
Then I brought him
I'm so combative.
Then I brought him to a comedy show, and the host brought me up as like haiku.
Yeah.
They were like, and this next comedian, she's like, I forgot what he said, but he referenced haiku, and then he got so mad. He was like, I thought of that before he did.
Wow.
But I just didn't say it. I'm like, okay, everybody's thought of that. I've been getting that since I was in second grade.
Yeah.
Shut up.
And you're like, and that's the end of our first date. I need more material.
Unbelievable. I like how my first dates is when I did go on first dates, everyone always comes to the table with their best joke, which is usually not funny.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like scripted.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah,
have their
some
one-
scripted or something, and I'm like, okay, where's the punchline? And
Or they
it's
can't
never-
even memorize it. They write it down.
Yeah.
And they're
They
like
do?
reading it to you.
Ooh, one time I was trying to get an oil change, and like the guy kept trying to make me laugh, and I just wasn't feeling it. And then he wouldn't stop. And the oil change took 40 minutes. He kept coming out. And I'm like, dude, I'm a professional comedian. Like, it's not, you're not going to make me laugh because it's not funny.
Do you know what? Like, so that like annoys me because I think it's like them feeling like entitled to our laughter or whatever.
Yeah, and that's
But also-
exhausting for women.
But also, I've been recently it's so exhausting. I've been also like been frustrated because like dudes will start conversations with me, like they'll like compliment my set or whatever, and then like
Of tits.
Yeah, no, they would never do that. Why would you pick tits? At least pick ass. I have a little bit of that. But
I saw some side boob on Insta.
oh my goodness, I'm trying to be a hoe.
It's working.
But like they'll come up. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I love you guys so much in my hoe aspirations. But they'll come up to me and they'll start a conversation and like I'm busy. I'm like working, I'm doing whatever. Or they'll do this in my DMs and they'll try to like talk to me, but then they expect me to entertain them. And it's like, you fucking started this conversation. And they'll be like, good talk or whatever, or like, great, thanks. And it's like, I have no obligation to fucking entertain you. Like, you brought this into my life. I have work to do. Why the fuck aren't you working?
That pressure to smile and laugh is just...
Or just to talk to them. Like, I don't want to talk to you. I have better friends than you.
I have funnier friends than you.
I was like about to go up at a show and I was looking through my notebook and this one dude would not stop talking to me. I even said like, hey, I'm just looking over my set. He just wouldn't talk, like stop talking.
I know. And I hate the worst part is when they get offended. Like when you're like, I'm actually working and they're like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry. And it's like, yeah, you should fucking be sorry. You're taking up my time.
The worst is like when people see me and I extend my hand to shake their hand and they go in for the hug. I'm like, do you not see my hand?
Oh, do they give you a cheek kiss sometimes?
Oh my God. I get like the wet slobbery.
I know.
Like I went from handshake to you just accosting me with your saliva on my beautiful face. Like stop it.
Not
like there's a
necessary.
reason why I have great skin is because I don't let men slobber all over my face unless he's my boyfriend. Like stop it.
Yeah.
Like I
Do
did
you
not
swat him away?
I'm just like don't do that. Or I just refuse to work with those people. Like if you're like
No, and then
it's just
they have
crazy.
no self-awareness. They think that I'm being a bitch to them because I don't want to talk to them after they fucking accosted me with a fucking hug.
That shit's gaslighting though. Like they victimize themselves all the fucking time and I hate it. It's like, you're a grown ass man. You can figure it out.
Yeah.
But a lot of times they don't figure it out.
They don't.
They just look at you like, what's her problem?
Okay, sorry. We had to wrap up soon, I think.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
usually we ask our guests who their favorite Desi celebrity is. Desi being South Asian, Indian, Pakistani, brown.
Oh.
Basically brown.
Who my favorite brown celebrity is?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh my God. Who is it? I don't know.
what's she in? What is she in? Or he?
My favorite Indian on TV?
Just
Yeah.
any South Asian celebrity. Could be a TV, could be...
Can you do multiple choice?
Sure.
Do you want us to give you multiple choices? Okay.
How many choices do you want?
Sanjay Gupta.
That's a good
Okay.
one.
There it is.
That's a good one. Okay.
Who else is there?
My favorite is Riz Ahmed
I don't know
from The
him.
Night of.
I don't know him.
He's an actor and a rapper.
Yeah.
I like, what about like MIA or something?
Oh, I love MIA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sri Lankan.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
That counts as Desi.
Hassan Minaj is considered a celebrity now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hassan Minaj.
Of course,
Um,
Priyanka Chopra.
Priyanka Chopra. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. We got
Sanjay
a lot of
Gupta.
options.
That was that's a new one. I haven't gotten that one in a while.
Well, he's a doctor. I mean, it doesn't really count.
But he's a famous doctor on TV.
I'm sure I'll think of one as soon as I leave. And I gave you guys a lame one.
No,
We'll post it. And then
Jinx, owe me
Okay.
a Coke.
Okay. And then also we like to ask our guests at the end, do you have any questions about like Desi or South Asian culture?
It's a safe space. It could be dumb.
It could be a dumb question, just something you've always wanted to know.
Cool. I don't know.
Could be about a stereotype. It could be about your one friend from elementary school.
I never talked
Shamoli.
about Rupin.
Who's
He's
Rupin?
the other Indian kid in my high school.
Any questions? Maybe
Questions
we
about
can
Rupin?
give some insight into Rupin's behavior.
Rupin always made fun of me.
That's normal for South
Yes.
Asians.
Yeah.
Men do that.
Yeah. Like you guys are super sexist as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right?
Very.
Yeah. Like it's almost a contest.
Yeah, like we hate men, so that's how we're.
And men hate us. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why we get along.
Okay, cool.
Let's wrap this up.
Awesome. Thank you, Esther.
Thank you.
Where can we find you?
I'm on Twitter at Esther Ku and Instagram, and I got my podcast called Ku and the Gang.
Ku and the gang. You got cute stickers I see everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm Pallavi Ganalan, PALLAVIGUNALAN on everything, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, my website, our group one, or you guys can go first, I guess.
Oh, okay. I'm Zahra Ali. It's Zahra Ali live on all the socials.
Cool. And I'm Fizza Dasani. That's spelled Fizaadosani. Please note that the Fizza has one Z and two A's, and that's on Twitter, Instagram, and all that stuff.
And our group one is Facial Recognition Comedy on Instagram and Facebook. And on Twitter, it's Facial Rec Comedy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Esther. Or Ku.
Ku and the gang.
Yeah.